been applying for NHS jobs and never seem to hear back? This video is definitely for you. You are filling out all the right forms, maybe even applying to roles you were qualified for, and still silence. No interviews, no feedback, just radio silence. And you're probably thinking, what am I doing wrong? Well, it might not be your experience, even your qualifications. It's usually something people overlook, the supporting statements. So in this video, I am going to walk you through a real-life job post, and I will show you exactly what NHS recruiters are looking for and how to tailor your supporting statement so that you finally get noticed. Let's dive in right there with this real-life example for the role of an assistant practitioner with the Lincolnshire Community Health Service NHS Foundation Trusts. Let's go right there. Here we go. Take a look at the job summary. It's for the role of a stroke service assistant practitioner, and I want you to take note of this session because it gives us the job summary for this role. And so you would notice the job is all about providing rehabilitation to stroke patients in the community. How do we know so? Take a look at the second question. It says, are you motivated and dedicated to supporting patients with the transition from hospital to home and to continue with their rehabilitation in the community? So, you would be working with stroke patients in a community service or setting, and you would need to collaborate with therapy staff and ensuring patients receive quality rehabilitation. Again, you need to be flexible and work across different locations. How do we know so? Here we go. The service has 4 bases across the county and works as a very flexible team. This post will require the ability to travel to meet the needs of this county-wide service, and applicants must be able to work on a rota basis to assist in covering a 7-day-a-week, 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. service. So, you would need to be flexible. You would be willing, or you should be willing, to work on a 7-day rota. These are very key requirements. Now, let's proceed to the essential qualifications for this job role. Note that a foundation degree in healthcare or its equivalent is essential, but then the experience needed doesn't have to be limited to stroke rehabilitation. Good news, right? Because the trust is willing to provide training, which we'll come to see as we progress in this video, which means even if you haven't worked directly in stroke care, your transferable skills, I would always emphasize on transferable skills. So these skills which you may have got from other healthcare roles can be used. For example, have you worked with patients recovering from injuries or surgeries? You could emphasize on that. The key here is to tailor your supporting statement to this specific role. So, if you've worked in settings where rehabilitation was involved, or you've supported patients who transitioned from hospital to home, make sure you highlight those experiences. Now, let's talk about something else that is also key in your supporting statement. You want to use keywords in the job description. And how do we get to know of these keywords? Take a look at the job summary. You would see words like rehabilitation. You would see words like flexible working. These are the kind of words you need to incorporate in your supporting statement. Again, we've got words like stroke patients. Not to worry, I would tell you how we got these words out as keywords. For now, you may be wondering, why do these keywords or key phrases need to stand out in my supporting statements? There is something called an ATS, Applicant Tracking System. A number of organizations, including the NHS, use the ATS to scan applications. So, before your application even gets to the attention of a human recruiter, the ATS scans the applications, and when it's able to sieve out these keywords, then your application is taken out amongst hundreds of applications. Then it gets to the attention of a human recruiter. So, for your supporting statement to stand out, you could say you've worked with stroke patients before. Do not just say, I've got experience in rehabilitation. Be specific. And what if you've not worked directly in stroke care? No worries. You still can demonstrate your transferable skills. For example, you could say, while I haven't worked directly in stroke rehabilitation, I have supported patients in rehabilitation settings, working with physiotherapists and other healthcare professionals to aid in their recovery. So you would notice so far we've covered two major points: understanding the job description and align your supporting statement with the key responsibilities, and using the right keywords from the job description to pass the ATS. But at this point, you may be wondering, how do I write a strong supporting statement that addresses all of these things without you feeling overwhelmed? Let's go right there. You want to start by explaining why you're passionate about the job. It's key, especially for this job role. Take a look at the first question. Are you passionate about delivering a high quality service to patients? So you want to emphasize on how passionate you are for this role. So you could say, I've always been passionate about supporting people in their recovery and helping them regain independence, which is why I am excited about the assistant practitioner role with the stroke service at Lincolnshire Community Health Services NHS Foundation Trust. Note I did two things. Aside stating my passion, I was specific. I mentioned the exact place I would be working. The stroke service, which you see here. Okay, we've passed. Here we go. I mentioned the stroke service, and I mentioned the name of the foundation. I didn't simply say Foundation Trust. I said Lincolnshire Community Health Service NHS Trust. These are keywords, key phrases you want to use. Of course, if you're applying for or under a different trust, you want to mention the name of that trust. Then, skills and experience. Here's where you want to talk about your relevant experience using the exact phrases from the job description. Again, keywords here include rehabilitation, multidisciplinary team. Let me show you how to get such keywords, where you get more of these keywords. You could use the job summary, but I recommend also taking it a step further for your supporting statement to stand out. So scroll down to the bottom of the job description. Good enough, see the salary, 26 plus to 29 plus. So it's above the threshold, which will be implemented starting April 9th. So it's good for individuals who need certificate of sponsorship. And a look at the additional information here, you would see it does come with COS. So good news. Then scroll down, you would see supporting documents. Always look for this supporting document. Click on the first one for whichever job you're looking for. Go look at this additional information. So click on job description. In my own case, I have downloaded this previously, hence is asking download file again. For yours, if it's the very first time, it shouldn't come with that. So here we go. You would see the detailed job description. Voila, here we go. You need all of these details for your supporting statement to stand out. So take a look at the job purpose. You would see keywords to use here. First, to provide effective evidence-based care skills for patients, refer to the service under the indirect supervision of qualified clinicians. So patient care is a keyword or key phrase we want to take from here. 2, to plan, organize and deliver clinical programs as agreed with supervising clinician in line with clinical governance and professional standards. So teamwork is a key phrase we could take from here. Next, to use personal effectiveness and knowledge to contribute to the development and delivery of a high quality, cost effective service. So professional work or knowledge are key words you could take from here. Next, to ensure effective communication with patients. So effective communication, key phrase you're taking from here. Note, I am listing out these key phrases that you should ensure are reflected in your supporting statement if you want the ATS to sieve your applications from hundreds of applications. Then you need to work closely with all members of the multidisciplinary team. Here, ability to work with multidisciplinary team. Multidisciplinary, key phrase. So you take a look at this detailed job description. Let's go further. We've got organization charts, minimum qualifications. This is necessary. Minimum qualifications, knowledge, training, experience. You need to ensure you meet up with all of these. If you do not meet up with all or most of them, I wouldn't advise you spend your time drafting a supporting statement applying. Go search for jobs that you meet up with all of the requirements or most of the requirements. So for this, a good standard secondary education, foundation degree in healthcare or equivalent, clinical knowledge acquired through experience or training. So again, if you do not have the training, experience comes in. Of course, training is an added advantage. Then experience working within health and social care. Then what the duties, what you need to do, and all of those. Then, again, under number 7, skills required for the post, you could get key phrases from here. First, we've got patients and their carers or significant others. So patient care is a key phrase. Next, multidisciplinary team, a key phrase. Then, we've got effective communication under the 5th point. Improve the effectiveness of communication. So effective communication skills is a key phrase. So these are ways you get key phrases you would need to put in your supporting statement so you stand out from hundreds of applicants. Next is something I want to show to you, person specification. Please and please and please do not joke with this. You would see the job-related criteria, the essential criteria, how identified, desirable, and how identified. I would explain. So, for the very first, qualifications, academic, professional, and vocational. You would see that for essential requirements, we've got a good standard of secondary education, foundation degree in healthcare or equivalent, clinical knowledge acquired through experience or training. How identified or how these are assessed via your certificates or through your certificates. So you must have the certificates for all of these. Otherwise, you won't be considered. So in your qualifications, in your application form, in the track account, which is what NHS recruiters use, you need to put all of these under your training, under your qualifications, because they will be assessed in your application form if you meet up with these requirements. Then previous experience, nature and level, experience of working within health and social care. It must be reflected in your application form. So this can also go under your training, under your training or even qualifications, and they should reflect Of course, it will reflect in your application form. It still wouldn't hurt to mention this in your supporting statement, narrating your experience of working within health and social care, and even giving a case scenario how you worked with the patient. It makes you stand out. Then for desirable criteria, previous experience working in community, experience of delivering staff training, experience building partnerships with outside agencies and volunteers. If you do not have these, no problem, but if you do, added advantage to you. Then you go to evidence of particular knowledge, skills, and aptitudes. You must have evidence of assessment and clinical skills in stroke rehabilitation. Demonstrate ability to evaluate your own strengths and development needs, seeking advice where appropriate. So these are essential skills you must have. Again, or essential criteria. Again, you do not have to have worked in a rehabilitation center like I earlier mentioned. It could be you've worked with individuals with injuries, those who have undergone surgeries, and you helped them recover. Emphasize on those. It will help, especially considering you've got other essential qualifications, experience that are needed. Then you want to demonstrate your ability to evaluate strength and development needs. All of these, though, will be assessed during the interview. So let's focus on the application form. Here, an understanding of the scope of the role of the assistant practitioner in context of the team and organization, and how the role may contribute to service development. So you would need to understand the duties, the scope of this role. Let's go upwards to look at the duties. I did see it somewhere here. So all of these duties encompass the scope of the job role. So in your supporting statement, again, you want to mention some of these duties to show or to demonstrate that you've got, let's use the exact phrasing, that you demonstrate ability, that you have an understanding of the scope of the role you were applying for. Very important. In-depth understanding of disability and loss of independence and rehabilitation. So you take these one after the other and you summarize, you make it concise on how you've got all of these, or how you demonstrate or show all of these criteria. Remember, it's assessed in your application form and interview. So first off, you need to focus on your application form, your supporting statement, before you can be invited for an interview. Then specific requirements. You must be willing to undertake further education, training and development relevant to the post. You must be able to work without direct supervision and a full driver's license. So look at this. If you do not have a full driver's license, for example, you wouldn't want to apply for this because it is a key requirement. So you do not spend time working on the application on your supporting statement, and at the end of the day, you are not invited for an interview. Then you want to link your values with the trust values, or you want to link your application with the trust values. How do you get the trust values? Here is something. You go to the job summary. I think there's a place that briefly touched about their values. Here, at LCHS, what does LCHS stand for? It stands for Lincolnshire Community Health Services NHS Trust. So at the Foundation Trust, we know diversity fosters creativity and innovation. We're committed to equality of opportunity, to being fair and inclusive, and to being a place where all belong. So you could tailor your application to this. That you were so interested in applying for this job when you went through the detailed job description, because one of the things that interested you or you found interesting is the fact that the foundation focuses or fosters creativity and innovation, and they are committed to equality of opportunity, to be fair and inclusive, being a place where I belong. And so you feel you're interested in this for the fact that there's a fair ground, it's inclusive, and it's something that resonates with you. Then you do not have to stop here. Some of the job description, the detailed job description, or the summary would give you the values of the Foundation Trust. But in this case, we do not have it. What stops you from going online and you type the name of the Foundation Trust? Okay, I'd earlier done so. So you could type Lincolnshire Health Services NHS Trust values. And here you've got the values. Our values are expressed in this way. We listen, we care, we act, we improve. So during the final part of your supporting statement, you could say, another thing or one thing you found interesting about this job is the fact that you love their values and they so much resonate with you. Their values being we listen, we care, we act, we improve. That these are values you uphold in your own personal lives. And so it just makes sense that their values align with yours, and so you would do so well for that job role. So you want to take note of this, as it's very important. So you see how well you would do if you're able to emphasize on all of this in your supporting statement. Remember the applicant tracking system that sees out application. So you need this if you want to stand out in your supporting statement. Having covered all of these, here's a quick question for you. Would you be interested in a follow-up video where I dive deeper into how to write a winning supporting statement from start to finish, step by step? Do let me know in the comments. Or if you have any question about this particular role, the assistant practitioner role at Lincolnshire Community Health Services NHS Foundation Trust, or how you can tailor your supporting statement, do let me know in the comments. I would like to hear from you.